Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be building this cool looking landing page for a CSS framework called Downing that I am actually creating. So it doesn't really have that much in terms of content. It just has the showcase area, the landing page, a link to the GitHub repository, the contribute.markdown file, and a donation button, which I've also placed this cool looking diagonal, which I really like. And then we have this simple cards section, a how to use with a link which is going to point to the style sheet. And then for tutorials and examples, I'm going to be adding more content on this website once I deploy it. But the tutorials and examples page is going to, or rather I might even place it on the homepage. It's going to contain tutorials on how to use it and examples of classes that are in the CSS framework. And then we have this cool looking gradient section as well for the support section and the contribute section. And then our footer, cool looking footer just at the bottom. And this is actually a linear gradient from top to bottom. That's why it kind of blurs into the footer, right? And we have the same effect right around here. It's a linear gradient from the top to the bottom. And then these are going to be the colors that we are going to use. So we're going to be building this using React. And I wanted to try out Sass in React and also Framer Motion. So we're going to be installing those dependencies. So before we get started, then what we need to do is open up our terminal and create a new React application. Okay, so in my terminal, I've run the command npx create react app, and I've called my app Downing landing page. And this is what it has finished canvassing for me. And I've just opened VS Code into that folder called Downing landing page right here. And if you run this command and you find that it's giving you an error, then it's most likely that you don't have Node.js installed. So you can head over to nodejs.org and install Node.js, and then just check by saying node -- version, which will give you this. And then you can also say npx -- version. I can't spell it. You can say npx -- version, which will give you your npx version right there. So this is what we have in VS Code, and what I've done is I'm already running my server by just opening up my terminal and saying npm start. This is the command to run our server, and you can see that it is now running on localhost 3000, and it actually doesn't show it. But you can also, if you're on your Wi-Fi network, for example, you can open this link up and it should also show. And this is what we have on localhost 3000. So before we get started, I just want to mention a few things. If you're looking for the design files, then I have a repository called Figma Designs. So you can head over to github.com, and I'm going to leave this link in the description as well. And you can go to my profile, and then you can search for Figma Designs. And inside this repository, then I have a folder called Downing, and this is actually the file that we're going to be using. So it has the images inside here, and then it also has the readme, which is basically this, and then it has the desktop preview, which is our design image. Look at this, looking fantastic. So you can go ahead and clone this repository, but I should inform you that this repository is very large. Okay, so if you want to clone this repository, then you can just click on this button right here, and you can click on this, or you can download the zip file. And if you choose to use the HTTPS, then you can just say git clone and then paste this inside, and it will clone this repository for you. Another thing that I would like to mention is that if you'd like to support me on Gumroad, where I have also placed these Figma designs, and I also wrote a book, then I'm going to leave this link in the description. It is gumroad.com/TsbSankara. I'm going to leave it in the description. Then you can get the Figma designs if you'd like to support it, of course, but remember that you can also just clone this repository right there. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to place this to the side. So what I want to do right away is I'm going to add a new terminal here, and I'm going to install npm install node sass, because we're going to be using SCSS. And then I also want to install Framer Motion, which we're going to go through in a moment. So just install this, and probably I should also install React icons, and I also want to install React Router DOM, but we are not really going to use React Router DOM in this project. Okay, but this is just for my routing later when I start adding more and more pages. So I'm going to let those install, and then I'm going to open up Framer Motion so we can just go through it. Framer Motion, not Framer. Framer is the web app. Sorry, Framer is the web app. So we want Framer Motion. There you go. So frame of motion, just from the description that they give us, it is a production ready motion library for React. And what that means basically is that we can add animations to our React applications, such as the ones that you can see right there. You can add so many animations that that you can just play around with. As you can see, the most important props that we're going to be using is the animate, which we have here. We're going to be using another prop called initial. Okay, and what initial does is it just describes from where you want to animate it from, and then animate describes where you want to animate it to. And we're going to do this practically, and then you're going to see how all of this works. But basically, this is just a showcase of what frame of motion can do, and it is actually very, very nice. And I was playing around with it. I can actually give you an example of what I was doing on my website. Then look at this, look at the animation right there, and then this, look at that, looking fantastic. So that I just added frame of motion to test it out on these two components, and it works very nicely. Okay, so let's get back to React, and this has finished installing. So now what I want to do is set up SCSS. So let me just remember how you do that, because I've actually forgotten. First, I want to delete this app.css file because we don't need it. And then I'm going to change this index.css to index.scss, like so. And then once we do this, then I'm going to remove this. Okay. And then I'm also going to remove this. Fantastic. And then I'm going to go inside my index.js, and then this is now called SCSS. So remember to change this as well. So save this, and then go into Up.js. And then I'm going to remove this import from there. And let me see if this will work. Okay, so now that we've reloaded it, then we see this on the screen. And remember, we have deleted the app.css file. That's why the settings kind of, the styling kind of resets. So I just want to test out something. I want to go inside index.css, and on the body, I want to give this body a background color of red. Let me just see if this will work. Okay, and it's working. So we're using SCSS for this project. Now, let me just talk a bit about SCSS. It stands for Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets. The official name is sass. Okay. Now, what that means is that it's a preprocessor, I think it's called, for CSS, which means that every time that you save it, then the SCSS will get compiled into actual CSS that the browser can read. Now, the syntax for this might be just a bit different than for CSS, and please bear with me because it's been a while since I've used this. The last time I used it, I was doing a project in one of my YouTube videos a very long time ago. So in CSS, we declare variables by saying root and then the variable name inside here. Now in SCSS, we declare variables by saying the $sign and then the name of the variable. So I can say primary color, like so, and then set this to red. And then I can go in the body, I can say background color, set this to primary color. And just to show you that this is actually working, let me change this to blue because this is already red. Change this to blue and save that. And would you look at that? So this is how we declare variables in SCSS. And we can also declare other things called mixins, which I don't really want to go into because I've also forgotten them and I don't want to risk explaining them in a wrong way. Okay, so that's basically an introduction to Sass. And another thing that I do like about this is that whenever we are nesting elements, for example, if we would have a container class, for example, and inside the container class, we want to access the article, and then we want to access maybe the div with a class of aside, for example. Now, this is how we will do it in CSS. But in SCSS, we have a much cleaner way, or in my opinion, a much cleaner way, where if I'm accessing the container class, then I can place my styles for the container inside here. And then if I want to access the styles for the container article, then I can just go below this and say I want the article class next, and I can specify the styles for the article class inside here. And then if I want to access the div inside the article class called aside, I can just do this. So it's basically kind of just dropping down, which I think is very nice. So we're going to go through this. I think we're going to do this for a few elements, but I was just doing this as an introduction. So let's save this and then let's remove this. And let me get my colors. So let me go back into Figma. Okay, and this is let me call this what? Dark, or rather, let's say what? Dark navy blue. Set this color to this, and then I want this color, let's just call this dark green, and then let's grade this, call this light gray, and then finally we'll have bright orange. So just copy this and call this bright orange. Okay, so there we have it. These are going to be our colors that we're going to use. And another thing that I do want to add is border radius. Let me just call this button border radius, and I want to say that the border radius is going to be 30 pixels on the top left, 0 on the top right, 30 pixels in the bottom right, and 30 pixels on the bottom left. And that's what gives this kind of button this kind of sharp edge here, and then it's rounded on all the other edges. And we're probably going to do a few more things in order to access this. As you can see, the border radius here is just a bit different. And let me just do the same thing where we're going to have a left card border radius, which means this one right here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, and then I'm going to change this to 30 pixels and then change this to 0. So the one on the left is not going to have any border radius. And then let's say center card border radius, and set this to 0 on the top left, 0 on the top right, 30 pixels on the bottom right, and 30 pixels on the bottom left. And then let's say right card border radius, and spell, set this to 30 on the top left, 0 on the top right. And actually the right card border radius could technically use the same as this. So let me just comment this out because it's technically almost going to be the same as this. Okay, and then what else can we do? Now that we're setting up our variables, we can do, for these buttons, we're going to specify each one of them separately, so that's okay. So let's save this, and then let's go back into our React application, and then let's go into Up.js. Actually, you know what? Let me go inside the source folder, and let me create a new folder called components. Okay, and inside here, I'm just going to start with header.js, and then let me just check what we have. So we have the header here, okay, and then we have the showcase. So we have showcase.js, and then once we have the showcase, we have the grid or the cards. Let me just call this cards.js, and then how to use. So let me just call this how to use.js, and then we have the support section. So let me call this support.js, and then finally the footer. So we have footer.js. Okay, so I think that will be much better. Just get everything out of the way, and then let's go inside header, and let me say underscore RAFCE to create a React Arrow function component. And I'm using an extension called ES7 React Redux GraphQL and React Native snippets. So you can install it, and it will give you the options to do the commands right there. And then I'm going to switch back into my React application, and then in the header, what I want is I want a UL, and this UL is going to have list items. So I just want to copy this down because there are 2 of them. And for now I'm just going to place buttons because, like I said, we install React Router. So once I'm adding more pages to this website, then I'm going to change these buttons into nav links, which is for internal routing in React. And then this is also going to be a button. Now this is going to say contribute, and for this button, I'm going to be linking this to my contribute.md file, which I currently don't have. And then this next one is going to say, what was it? Donate, was it? Can't remember. Okay, it says donate, and then this is the GitHub repo. Okay, and then inside here, we're going to say add a div inside here, and then add a button that says, actually, you know what? Because I already know the repository for this, then I'm just going to place an href to https github.com/me/downing-landing-page, which I haven't really created, by the way. Okay, and then I want this to open on a new page, so target equals to underscore blank, and then the rel, we're going to say no opener and no referrer, And this is very important when you have the target of blank, because this opens on a new page, which means that the new page gains access to the window.open attribute, which means somebody can execute cross scripting attacks. I think that's what it's called. On your web page if you haven't added this. So it's very important that anytime you add the target of blank, then you also add this. Okay, and this is going to say something from React icons called fa github, which haven't imported, and then this is going to say github repo like so. So let's import this icon at the top. So I'm going to say import fa github from react-icons/fa like so, and then let's save this. Let's go inside Up.js, and then let's just remove everything inside here. Let's just remove this header and then remove this, and then let's return the header component. So header like so, and then of course remember to import it. So import it from components header, and then we can remove this logo because we are no longer using it. And then probably let me change this into an arrow function. So const up equals to that, and you don't have to do that. I just like arrow functions. And then let's save this, and then let's see what we have on the screen. Reload this. Okay, would you look at that? So we have the contribute, donate, and we have the GitHub repo on the screen. Okay, so this is looking fantastic. Now let me go back into the header. Where was my header? Right inside here. Let me close this sidebar. And then probably what I should have done is placed all of this inside a header tag. So let me just do it inside this fragment. So header like so, which will also change it at the bottom because I'm using an extension called auto rename tag. Okay, so anytime that I change one, then it also changes the other. And then give this a class name of header. I can type like so, so that we can target it in our index.scss file. And let's do that right away. So let me place a comment that says header, and let's say for the class of header, how did I say, let me say position this as absolute. And I've just remembered something else that I should have said for every UL, then I want the list style type to be none, and then for every image, then I want the max width to be 100%, so that it doesn't introduce a horizontal scroll bar if the image is greater than the device width. So let's save this. Let's see what we have, and we have that. So it removes the bullets. And then probably what I can do is just say an asterisk and reset the margin. So margin 0, and then padding 0, and then box sizing, set this to border box. Okay, like so. So save this. Let's see what we have, and we have this. And then inside the header now, let's say set this width to 100%, so that the width is going to span the entire width. Okay, and just to show you what I mean, I'm just going to comment this out, and then I'm going to set the background color to primary color. Actually, I don't have primary color variable, right? Dark navy blue. So let's say, oops, let's say dark navy blue. Save that, and then we have this. So because of position absolute, then this happens. So the header doesn't take up the entire width anymore. So let's add this back in, and then let's see, and look at that. That's what happens. Okay, and I don't want this color on the header, so I'm just going to comment it out because I don't really want it. And then let's say, what else can I say? You can say display flex. Okay, and then I can say align items to the center and justify content to space between. Justify content to space between, so that it goes end to end like so. And then let me add a padding all around of 20 pixels. Move it inwards and downwards so that this happens. And then now I want to target this first UL. Now let me show you. Inside the header, we have this UL, right? We have this UL, and then we have this div. So instead of going below this and saying dot header and UL, then what I can do is I can remove this, and then I can just go inside here and say that for the UL, then I want to say display flex, and watch what happens. Look at that, looking fantastic. And this is why I really love Sass, because you can just nest in elements if they are in the same hierarchy. Okay, so we have display flex, and then inside here I have list items. So I can say set the margin here to 0 on the top and bottom, and 10 pixels on the left and right to separate them out like so. And then inside this list items I have buttons. Now for the buttons, what I want to do is I want to set the background color, set this to transparent like so. Okay, remove the border, so border, set this to none. Let me see what we have. We have that. and we can increase the font size. Let me say font size, increase this to probably 16 pixels, make it just a bit bigger. And then now inside the header, now this might be a bit confusing if you're not used to it. So inside the header, we also have the a div which is inside the header, but it is outside of the UL. So if you want to target that div, and by that div I mean this div right here. So if you want to target this div, then you have to go outside of this UL which ends right here, and I can say that for the div that is inside the header. Now if you don't have this extension, then it might be just a bit difficult to tell where the brackets begin and end. That's why I have an extension called bracket pair colorizer, and that's what this does basically. So it just, you know, highlights stuff for me, which makes it easier to see. Now inside this div, then I want to target the href, and probably I'm going to give this a class name of github-icon so that I can target it. And let's see, we have the href, so I'm going to target the href inside here, and I'm going to say text decoration none, and I should probably set it for all the hrefs inside here. So then say text decoration, set this to none, like so. And then I'm going to say that for all the buttons, then I want the font family to inherit from the parent. So I'm just going to set this to inherit, which will also change the font family for the button here to whatever it is on the parent. And we're going to change this font family in a moment. So for the buttons here, let me say set the color here to dark navy blue. See what we have, so that we're going to have this. Okay, now the color here is not going to be dark navy blue, remember, because when you look at this, then it is a dark background color, so we want the color to be white. So I've just set it to dark navy blue so that we can see it as we style it. And inside here, let me target the class of github-icon, like so, and give this a background color of, what was it, dark navy blue. Let me see that. Okay, let me set the padding to 10 pixels, and then set the border radius to, what was it, button border radius. Okay, this is too much. See how this is too much? So we can just change it at one point right here. We can probably reduce this to 15. So let me grab this, change this to 15 pixels. Is that correct? Button border radius, or the button is still too small. So let me increase the padding here. Where was it? Padding here to 20 pixels. Okay, so we're going to have that. And then once we have this, then that would mean I should add this. So I was a bit on the fence about adding this, but now that I've changed this, then I can add this inside. So set this 30 pixels and 30 pixels. And the reason why, if you remember, is because this was a bit similar to the button border area, so I didn't want to have two variables that do the same thing. Okay, so button border areas, we have this, and the background color here shouldn't be dark navy blue, it should be bright orange. What is the variable name? Bright orange, right there. Okay, and then set the text color to white. So the text color, set it to white, and I can't really see it. I can't see it, so let me set this text color inside here. So let me go inside here, set the style, set this to color, and set it to FFF, like so. And it doesn't show. Interesting, it doesn't show. Why doesn't it show GitHub icon? Let me change the text color here to white. Let me see if this would work. So let's say FFF. I probably did something wrong, because what I'm now realizing is that this is nested inside this. So let me put that on hold for a moment so that we can just continue on to our showcase. Now for the showcase, what are we going to do? I'm going to say underscore RAFCE once again. And then inside here, I'm going to import an image, which I actually don't have. Okay, so let me just open up my clone repository somewhere, Figma. And images, so the image that we need is actually this hero.svg, which I'm going to place inside my source folder. So let me just place it inside my source folder, like so. Okay, and I've just realized that I don't have any of my images. So inside my source folder, let me create a new folder called images, and then I'm going to grab this hero.svg and place it inside my images folder. And then I'm going to go back inside here and then just grab all of this and just paste it inside, like so. And I hope those are all the images that we're going to use. Now inside here, let me import the hero SVG. So let me say import hero from /images /hero.svg, and then inside here let me turn a fragment and then a section with a class name of showcase, and then inside here we're going to have a div with a class of overlay, and then inside here we're going to have an h1 that says what? It says the minimalist CSS framework. So the minimalist CSS framework, and then above this we have an h3 that says this is downing, which are going to style out. And then below this, what else do we have? We have nothing. We only have the image. So let me grab this, place it inside a div like so, and then let me have another div that says an image whose source is going to be the hero, and the alt is just going to say HTML and CSS. And then what I'm going to do is grab this, and actually I should probably just place an article inside here so that I don't have many divs. So this is article. Give this a class name. No, don't do that. Give this a class name of text, and then give the second one a class name of image like so. So let's save this, and then let's run out our showcase in our app.js right here below the header. So let's render showcase, and we need to import it, of course. So right below this, let's say import showcase from /components /showcase. Let's see what we have. So we have this. Remember that our header is positioned absolute, that's why this goes to above it, right? Let's see what we can do. Let's go inside our index.scss, and let me close these files. There are too many. Close these files, index.js. Okay, so let's go index.scss, and below this I'm just going to place a comment that says showcase, and I'm going to say that for the showcase, then I want the height for this to be 600 pixels. First of all, see what happens. Nothing, of course. And then let's set the background color, not the background color but the background, set this to, what was it, linear gradient. And actually, you know what, I can just grab this from Figma. So let me find out which rectangle this is. This one. Okay, so linear gradient right here. Let me just inspect it, and then you can just grab this, okay, and then just paste it inside here. So this is the linear gradient. It goes downwards 180.43 degrees. The first color is this one, and then it has an opacity of 0.37, and then this is the second color, and it has an opacity of 99.63. So save this, and let's say sorry, this is not opacity, this is the width or the height which it takes. Then let's save this, and then we have this. Okay, so if you want to play around with this, then you can just try to just jump around with these figures. For example, if I set this to 50% and then also set this to 50%, then see what happens. This is what happens. So it only takes up 50% here, and then 50% on the top of the primary color, which I don't really want because I want a blurring effect. So let's remove that. Let's take that. Okay, so that's the blurring effect that we want. And then now let's go back inside our header, and then let's see what we need to do. I wanted this color. Let me change this color to bright orange. Let me see where you are. You are right there. But where is our icon? Why isn't our actual icon showing? Actually, I can't tell why our icon isn't showing. Now remember how we set this text color to kind of black? Let's fix that inside the button. Set this color to white, like so, for the buttons right there. And then let's say for the button hover, now what you can do is, if you want to have a kind of state to it, then you can say ampersand and then colon hover. So this will target the hover state of the button, where I want to say cursor, set this to pointer. Okay, so that we're going to have this. Okay, looking fantastic. Now we just need this text to move to the, probably just downwards, not really to the center. So how do you do that? Let's say showcase, and you know what, I'm going back to CSS. So I want the overlay class inside the showcase, right, where I can set the height for this to 600 pixels as well, and then I can say display flex. align item center and justify content to the center. Let's see what happens. And then this happens, and then we can say flex direction, set this to column like so, and probably column reverse would be much better so that the image comes first and then the text like so. And then let's target the H3 inside the overlay. So the H3, set this color to bright orange like so. Set the text to uppercase, so text transform, set this to uppercase. Okay, and then let's set letter spacing to 5 pixels. Fantastic. Let's say margin on the top and bottom of 10 pixels and 0 on the left and right. 10 pixels, this is pixels like so. Okay, and probably reduce the width of this image. I don't like how big it is, so let's target the H1 next before we target the image. So for the H1, let me say change this color, change this color to white. Say font size, set this to around 30 pixels. Then let's say text align center, and I should probably, instead of doing this here, let me do it on the overlay. Let me just say text align center for everything, so that we have this, everything is aligned to the center. Okay, let's target the image next. Where was the image? I can't remember. It was inside the div of overlay, inside the article class of image. Okay, so still within the overlay, but below this, let's target the class of image, and then target the image inside, right? Then we can set this width to around, let's say 75%. Let me see what happens. Just reduce it just a bit. Let's say margin dash bottom, set this to 30 pixels, separate it out like so. Look at that, looking fantastic, looking amazing. So this is going to be our showcase, and I still don't understand why our icon isn't showing. So let me try and figure out why our icon isn't showing. This is the div in the header. We have a div, then we target the A class, and then inside the A class we target the GitHub icon. Let me give this a background dash color of bright orange. Let's go inside this div, okay, so that we can display this as a flex item, so that this now goes to the center instead of being at the bottom. So let's say display flex, and then align items to the center. Just for context, wait, why is it working? It's not working because this should be inside the A tag and not the div. Sorry about that. So display flex inside here, okay, and then align item center, and that should move it downwards, correct. And then let's say margin dash left. No, that won't work inside here. Let's go inside this GitHub icon right below this. Let's say margin dash right, set this to 10 pixels. I don't understand why this color is not changing. Another option would be to add the GitHub image here, the SVG image. And you know what, I'm leaning towards that. So let me just remove this. Let me add an image with the class of GitHub-icon. And the image source is going to say GitHub icon, which we're going to import. And the alt attribute is going to say GitHub, like so. So let's import this image at the top. And we can just remove this, by the way. And we can say import GitHub icon from /images /github.svg. I think that's what I called it, correct? Okay, so let's save this and let's see what we have on the screen. So that we're going to have this. Okay, now that we have that, then we're going to need to reset a few styles, such as this padding. We can reduce this padding to 5 pixels. Let's reduce the image width. So let's say set the width here to around 10 pixels. Let me see how small is that. Oops, too small. Let's say 30 pixels. 30 pixels. It's too small still. 100. Wait, isn't this reloading? Okay, it wasn't reloading. So set it to 30 pixels. Let's set this padding to 10 and set this set this to what? Let's set it back to 8. Web development is a lot of trial and error, guys. A lot of trial and error. Set this to 5, set this to 35 pixels, just to get it to look as you want. That's much better. This is much better. And then I can change this text to white, the text color here. to white because I don't want this orange on the text. So we're going to have this. Look at that, looking fantastic. And it links to my GitHub repository, which I don't think I have, but I'm going to create it. And then we have this image. And just in case you're wondering, there's a website where you can get free SVG images for your projects. It's called andro.co. So let's see, andro.co. And this website is very nice. You can browse SVG images that you want, and you can just download them to use them in your project. So the next section that we want to create is the what. Probably I should scale this up so that you can just move on with everything once. Let me increase the height for this showcase. It's too small for me. So both of these heights, set this to 700 pixels. You know what? Instead of setting this, let me just set it to 100 viewport heights. So I'm going to say calculate 100 viewport heights and then take away 10 pixels. And that should, did I do that correctly? Okay, there we go. There we go. Always have spacing in between this, otherwise it doesn't work. So it just leaves 10 pixels at the bottom right there. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when you're dealing with viewport heights, anytime that you scroll down or scroll up, it gives a shaky feeling to your website, which I don't really want. And I'm just fixing that by adding this minus 10 pixels so that we return this in pixels instead of viewport heights. So once we do this, then the next section that we want to create is this card section. And for this card section, let's see what you can do. Let me go inside here, inside the cards.js, and I'm not going to create a data array. So I'm going to say underscore RAFCE once again, like so, and then remove this. And then I'm going to import these 3 images. Remember that these are 3 images that I have in my files. So I'm going to say import, what they call them? Import tired face, import tired face from /images /tired -face.svg. And I copy this down 2 more times. And then let me grab the what is it, thumbs, let me say thumbs up. The image is called thumbs-up, and then finally this is called confetti, like so. And then inside here, let's return a section. Okay, this section is going to have a class name of cards. And then inside here, we're going to have a div with a class of card-inner, or rather, let's say cards inner, just so that you can have some uniformity. And then this cards inner class is going to have an article. And inside this article, we're going to have an image. The source for this first one is going to say tired face, like so. And then below this, we're going to have some text that says this. And you know what, I can just place lorem ipsum for now, just so we can move faster. And this is going to be the design for the first card. So let me just render this out to see what I have. Go back into Up.js. Let's render the cards. Let me see what we have. And import cards. So import cards from /components /cards. And we should see something on the screen. Can't revolt thumbs up. This is thumbs up. Wait. This is thumbs up. Has an S. Okay, so that we're going to have this on the screen. So now what I can do is just copy this div with the class of cards inner. So just grab this, and on Windows you can say Shift Alt and down, which will copy it the second time and then one more time. So this second one is going to say thumbs up, and then the third one is going to say confetti, like so. And let's see what we have on the screen. Thumbs up is not defined. What do they call this? Okay, this has an S. Why do I keep forgetting the S? And we should have this on the screen right there. Okay, so let's begin to start this out. Let's go inside here. Below this, let's say cards, and let's target the cards class, and then I want to set the cards-inner, like so. And then I'm going to say for this, then I want the box shadow to be, how does box shadow go? 5 pixels on the horizontal, 5 pixels on the vertical, and 0 on the blur. And then I want the box shadow color to be the dark navy blue, so dark navy blue. Save this. Let's see what we have, and we have this. So let me go inside this cards class now, and then let me add the padding of 0 on the top and bottom. And you know what, let me say 0 on the top, and then 20 pixels on the left, 50 pixels on the bottom, and 20 pixels on the right, like so that this pushes inwards. Okay, and then I can say display this as a grid with grid template columns to how many? We just want one fractional column for now. Okay, and then let's add a grid gap of 20 pixels to separate them out, just like so. So it separates them out just a bit. And then inside here, you can just say text align center to move everything to the center, like so. And then let's add some padding of, let's say, 30 pixels all around to add some bit of spacing between these cards. And remember that these cards have a bit of a different border radius for each one of them. But the first thing that I want to do is move this card upwards, because as you see in the design, it's just a bit above the showcase, right? So let's do that by going inside this cards class and adding a negative margin. So I'm going to say margin top, set this to minus 100 pixels, so that we're going to have this. And then in order for this to be actually more prominent, then I want to have the cards in a class to have a background color of white. So I'm going to say background color, set this to white. Look at that, looking amazing. So let's begin to add the border radius. So what I'm going to do is I want to target the first one, this first card, right? So I can do that by saying ampersand colon and saying nth. Let me say, I can just say first child, right? So for the first child, then I want a border radius of, what was it, left card border radius, was it? So that we're going to have this, look at this, so it only applies on the first card. Look at that, isn't that amazing? And then for the second card, I can say ampersand and say nth child dash nth child, then brackets 2. So for the nth child 2, what I want to do is add a border radius of what was it, center card border radius. That is a variable, like so. So this now has a border radius on the top, on the bottom right, and on the bottom left only, and none on the top left or top right. And then let's do one more time, and let's say for the last child. Now you can technically do nth child 3, but you know, preference. And then let's set this to border radius and say right card border radius, and that would do sorry, the last child doesn't take it any parameter, sorry for that. So that we're going to have this. Okay, so right away let me add a media query so that we can actually see how this looks on larger screens. So I'm going to say add media for a min width of 760 pixels. Then I want to target the cards class, and then I want to say what was it, let me just grab this, copy this and set this to one fractional. Let me see how this looks. There we go. Okay, and then copy this down like so, change this to around 1024 pixels, change this to one fractional, and let's see right there. So would you look at that? So this happens on larger screens. Okay, and my, oh, I thought my header disappeared. Okay, so that's looking fantastic. Okay, now one thing that you can do is you can actually do this, or you can say repeat one fractional each, and then you can also grab this and say repeat one fractional each. Sorry, repeat 3 times one fractional, and then say repeat 2 times one fractional. I don't know why my brain is lagging today. I'm really lagging today. And I've just noticed that we did not add any media query for the header, and that might actually bother me just a bit. So let me add a media query for the showcase. So for the showcase, what we want to do is we want this, we want to get the overlay inside, and then we want to display it as a grid so that this text is going to go to the left and then the image is going to go to the right. So let's go inside right around here above this, and then let's say that for the showcase, and then I want to get the overlay inside like so. Then I can say display grid, come on, can't spell, display grid, and grid template columns to repeat twice and one fractional column each, so that this would happen. Look at this. So now this takes up a grid of its own, and then this is also another grid, and then reset the text to the left. So I'm going to say text align and change this to left like so, which will move this. Okay, and then what we can do is we can say align items, set this to the center like so. And then for large screens, I want this to take up a max width, right? So let me just grab this, copy this, and add another media query. So I'm going to say add media and min width of 1280 pixels. Then I want to paste this inside, and then I want to add a max width on this. So let me say max width of 1100 pixels. See what happens. Move to the left, and then now we can reset the margin, set this to auto, which will take it back to the center. Fantastic. And then now let's target this the h1. Actually, we only need to increase the size of the h1 so that it's much larger. So right around where here, let me target the h1, and let's say the font size should increase to, what did I have as initial value? I had 30 pixels, so I change this to 46 pixels. And then let's just grab this, let's add it here, let's say for the showcase, and then on target the overlay, let's target the h1, and let's say font size, set this to 64 pixels. Does that change? Oops, no, don't do this, let's say font size 64 pixels. There we go. Okay, so once we have this, then I want to do the same thing for the cards class, where I want to add a max width of the cards class. So right inside here, let me add, I have the showcase. So let's say, let's just go below this. Let's say cards class, let's say max width of, probably I should set this to 1200 pixels, just make it a bit larger, and then set the margin to, what margin did I have on the top? Minus 100 pixels, so minus 100 pixels at the top, and then auto on the left and right, and then 0 on the bottom. Okay, so that we're going to have this. And I just remember that I didn't place any margin to separate the text and the image here. So let's do that right away. Let's go inside where we have our card class, the cards inner, and then we have the cards inner, and then what? The cards inner, and then the article, then the image. So right where this is about to end, just go above it. Let's target the article, and then let's target the image here, and then let's say margin bottom, set this to 20 pixels, separate it out like so. And I've just remembered that I want all the paragraphs to have a line height of, let's say, 1.8. And then let me increase this image. Remember how we limited this image to around 75%, I think it was, in the showcase right here. So 75%. So I want to target the showcase overlay image class, and then the image, and then set this back to 100%. So let's do that at around 768 pixels. So right inside the overlay, so right there, let me target the image, and then the image inside here. This is a bit confusing if you're listening to it. And then set the width here to 100%, set it back to the original, make it bigger, just like that. Would you look at that? Looking amazing, looking fantastic. And then finally, let's have a max width on the header as well, so that it moves inwards. So right here, I'm going to say, sorry, not right here, but right here, I'm going to say for the header, then let's have a max width of 1200 pixels, and this has a full column. And then set the margin to auto. And remember that I wanted to change this to 1200 pixels as well. Okay, now look at this. Notice how the header kind of moves to the left, even though we have set the margin to auto here. The reason for that is because the header is positioned absolute. Okay, so in order to fix this, then let's just say position to the left by 50%, which will take it insanely to the left, right? Because now we can't really see our button unless we scroll, right? And we don't want this to happen for the user. So what you can do is now reset the left to the absolute left. What am I saying? You can just reset it now so that it goes to the perfect left. I don't know that that makes sense, because now as it is positioned, the header starts here, which is, this is technically 50% of the screen right here, but now we want it to go back so that it begins here, so that the header now takes up the 1200 pixels. So let's do that by saying transform and translate on the x-axis by minus 50%, because remember the left and right happen, they take place on the x-axis, and then the top bottom are on the y-axis. So let's save that, and look at that, looking amazing, looking fantastic. Now notice how there's a bit of spacing here, right? There's a bit of spacing here on the header. That's because we have a padding of 20 pixels in the header. So let's reset that here, and let me set the padding to 20 pixels on the top and bottom, and then 0 on the left and right, which is just move it outwards just a bit. Now it is perfect, looking amazing. Now let's move on to the next section, and probably I can have a hover effect on this cards, where when I hover over them, then the box shadow just reduces a bit. So let's do that. I can do that right away, where I have the cards right here, right? So the cards inner, what I can do is right below this, I can say ampersand hover, then I can say box shadow, set this to 2 pixels and 0, and then the variable still remains dark navy blue. But then I want to have a transition, and I want to transition the box shadow by 0.4 seconds, and I want to say is in out for the cubic Bezier curve. And then let's see, look at that, looking amazing, looking fantastic. Now let's deal with the next section, which is the how to use section, and this is just basically text, you know, it's just text. So let's say, let's close this as well, and the showcase as well, and then let's go into how to use section, and then let's say underscore RAFCE once again, and then this is just text, so let's return a section with an h2 that says how to use, like so. Below this we're going to have a paragraph, and it's starting to malfunction again. Below this we're going to have a paragraph that says this. Okay, copy this and then just paste it inside here, and then below this what I want to do is, notice how it says copy the link to the CD and paste it in the head section. Now I don't want this to be inside here, because it requires, or it's going to require a closing tag for this to work. So what you can do is, HTML provides us with a tag called pre, which stands for pre-formatted text, and when I place it inside here, then it's going to format it as if it's technically code, you know. And you can also target this in your CSS and style it how you want. So once we have this, then we're going to have another paragraph below this. Is it a paragraph, or rather a pre-tag? So let me place a paragraph and then a pre-tag like so, and then just copy this link, which by the way, this is a dummy link, it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work, this is just for the purposes of placeholder, like so. Okay, and then after this pre-tag, then we have another piece of text that says check back later for an MTM package, and then the button. So below this, let's say, why is it M12 functioning? Check back later for an npm package, like so. And then below this, we're going to have a button with a class of btn-dark, for example, and then we're going to say tutorials and examples Okay, so let's render this out. Right below this, let's say how to use, and auto import it, so it auto imports how to use from components, how to use, and then let's see what we have. So we have this. Okay, now that we have this, then I've just remembered that we need to import different fonts for this. So let's do that. Let's go into fonts.google.com. I should have done this by the beginning, but you know, sometimes it just slips your mind. And we want the Roboto font, Roboto. So just grab this, and then grab the regular 400, and then the bold, or let's say black 900. And then once we grab that, then we also want another font called Roboto Mono, which is going to be the font for our pre-formatted tags. And then let's grab the regular 400, and then grab this, copy this, and then write inside our index.html, inside the public folder index.html, and I'm going to paste it right here. Okay, so save this, And then let's go back into index.scss, and at the top where we have the body, set this font family to Roboto, and then a fallback of sans serif. And then below this, let's specify for the pre-tags. Then we can say font family, set this to Roboto mono with a fallback of sans serif. Okay, so let's see. Does that change? Did I say that? Okay, so that changes. Fantastic. So now the font is now Roboto and Roboto mono for the pre-formatted text, which is this right here. As you can see, something isn't working as it should, and that is this pre-tag right here. Okay, so this is not formatting this link tag as expected. So let's remove this. Actually, let's remove this, and we should have this on the screen. Okay, I think this is much better, at least much more manageable for now. And remember that this is a pre-tag, that's why this happens. Okay, that's why it introduces a horizontal scroll bar. So let me see what happens if I change this to a code tag. Let's change it back to pre. And let's tell this out right away. And I've just remembered something else. I don't know why I keep on forgetting this, but I want the text color for the body to be our dark color, our dark navy blue color. And the change isn't really all that noticeable, but it is. Okay, we want to style up this how to use section. So let's give this section a class name of how to, this is too much, let's say how dash to dash use, and then just copy this out because it's bothering me to type. And then let's add below this, right before our media queries, right here. Is it right there? Okay, let's place a comment that says how to use, and then let's target the how to use class. Okay, and then inside this class I want to say for the h2, so target the h2, and let's say margin of 40 pixels on the top, and what is it, 40 pixels on the top, 0 on the left, 20 pixels on the bottom, and 0 on the right. This is actually the opposite. This is the right, and then this is the left. And then let's say inside here, let's have a padding of 20 pixels all around. Okay, so this is the how to use section. And then let me say that I have paragraph and then the pre-tag, right? So let me target the paragraph here, and then the pre-tag inside the paragraph. And you know what, instead of doing this, actually, because I've already specified it at the top, then I can just say inside here to display as an inline, like so that now this is going to go inline inside here, and then this is also going to display as inline. And then let's say inside how to use, we have a paragraph and we have the pre section here. Let me go inside, let me give this pre a class name of link. And then let's go back inside here. Let me go, where was it, right inside here. Let me target the class of link inside the paragraph. Let me give this a background color of dark navy blue, and then the text color should be white, like so. Let's have a padding of 3 pixels on the top and bottom, and 2 pixels on the left and right. And then let's have a border radius of, let's say 5 pixels, just to make it a bit rounded. And then let's say this display block. Let me see, why isn't this okay? You know what, I should probably set the width here. And you know, this is pre-formatted text, so this would actually work, but I want the overflow here to be auto. Let's see, and let's scroll back the bottom. So let's go to the body here, and let's say overflow on the x-axis to be hidden. Okay, so this is going to do that, which is not what I want. Why is this so hard? How have I forgotten to do this? See guys, always practice. Okay, always practice. If you don't practice, you forget how to do things like this. Let me remove this from here first, Let's go back to where I have this. Let me remove this as well. Let me go inside this paragraph, set this margin to 20 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Okay, which will target both paragraphs. So this is also a paragraph, so it spaces it out just a bit. And then let's target the right outside this paragraph. Let's target the btn dash dark. Let me say background color, set this to dark navy blue, have a padding of 10 pixels all around, have a border radius of button border radius, and change the text color to white. And then let's say for the hover state, so ampersand hover, change this background color to transparent. Do I want to do that? No, let's just say cursor pointer. Okay, so they're going to have this. And we'll also remove the border, so border none. Okay, so this is going to be our button. I don't like this color on the button though. What is the second color? Or dark green? That was the second color. So change this to dark green. Okay, I think this is much better. I don't want this pre-text to go all the way out. So let me change this to code. Let me see what happens. So this is now a code tag. So let me give this a font family of Roboto Mono, and a fallback of sans serif. So this will do this. So let me set the width here to 100%, and of course nothing changed because this is too small a screen, and it will do this. Now on large screens, let's scale this up. On large screens, what I want to do is target the how to use. Let me say at around 768, right below this. Actually, not below, below the cards. So right here, how to use, and I'm going to say, you know what, I can't really see how it's going to look right now. So let me remove it from here, and then let me add it right here. So how to use, set the max width to 1200 pixels, and then set the margin to auto. So this is how it looks at 1200, and this is actually what I want, but I can't really seem to picture it for this type of screen. Actually, this looks fun, nice. This looks nice as it is. Actually, what I could do though is just probably make this span the entire column, so that it goes all the way to the end. This white space doesn't exist. So let me target the nth child of 3 where I had the last child here, and I can say grid column span the first one to the third one. Okay, so then we're going to have this, and then probably we are going to need to increase it for large screens, as you can see. So where we change this, where do we change this? The last child, where we change the cards to display as 3. Where is it? Right here. Then we can say for the cards inner, then I want to say for the ampersand and last child, then I want the grid column to be, what is it, the third one only. Is it the third one? Let's see, is that how you do it? Okay, there we go. So right here it spans both so that there's no longer any white space, and then it stacks on top of each other. Oh, what did I do? I added it on the wrong place. I added this on the wrong place. I added it here. I shouldn't have added it here. I should have added it at my 768 media query right here. So cards inner, and then say ampersand last child, and then say grid column span from the first one to the third one. Okay, let's see, just make sure that everything is correct. And then this is 1/3, not 1.3. Okay, let's see. Okay, fantastic. And then right there, okay, nice. So let's see what we need to do for our next section, which is basically this, our support and contribute. So let's say support.js right here. Let's say underscore RAFCE, like so, react our function component. And then what do we need to do? We just need to create a fragment first of all, and then return a section with a class name of support. So this one is going to be the background color, right? Which I can also just grab once again, if I can just find this rectangle right here, and then I can just grab the linear gradient right there once again. So copy this and then right before the media queries, and I can say support and contribute, target the support class, and then just paste this in and then add background. Oops, I can say background and then set this, which should be that, and then set the height for this to probably around let's say calculate once again, then let's say calculate 100 viewport heights minus 10 pixels once again. Let's see what we have, and of course we don't have anything because we've not rendered our support section. So let's do that. So inside here we have a div. We have this first div that says support, and then this second one that says contribute. So let's say div with the class of support. Let's say support dash inner, and then inside here we have an HT that says support, and then below this we have paragraph that says, come on, a paragraph that says this. So copy this and paste it inside here, and then below this we have 3 buttons. So I'm going to create a div with a class of not a class really, but I'm going to say this is button, and I want 3 of them, so times 3. So button times 3. The first one is going to have a class name of btn dash, what is it, btn dash orange. Let me just say btn orange. The second one is btn dash green, and then the third one, this should be btn, so btn dash green. Come on, I can't type. I'm really lagging today, guys. I'm sorry for that. So this should be class name btn dash dark, which we already created, and that says sponsors list become a sponsor, sponsors list, and then this says become a sponsor, and then this one says donate. Okay, so let's save this, and actually before we save this, then let's just create this second div, and this is going to have a class name of contribute dash inner, and then it's going to have the same structure. So let me just copy this. Where is it? Just copy this and paste it inside here, change this to contribute like so, and then this says copy this text, paste it inside here, and then this is, I'm going to remove what? I'm going to remove this class, this one, and then this is going to say contributing.md or read, which is our contributing.md markdown file. So let me save this, and let's go into support. Let's render support. So let's see what we have on the screen, and we have this. Okay, that is looking nice. Okay, so this is what we have for our support section. So let's just begin styling it out, where I'm going to go inside here, just confirm that I have my styles. Okay, and then support and contribute. Fantastic. Now what I want to do is target this div inside here, and probably these 2 divs. So let me say inside here, let me say target the divs, give them a background color of white. See that? Okay, and then probably I'm going to go inside here and say display this as a grid, and then set this to grid template columns, and then 1 fractional each, and then have a grid gap of 20 pixels to separate them out. And actually this is not what I wanted, so let me say align items, set this to the center, Okay, this is not what I wanted. This looks horrible. Let's add a padding of 20 pixels here. Push them inwards, and then inside the divs, let's also add a padding of 20 pixels. Push them inwards like so. Let's target the h3s inside the div. So h3, give this a font size of 30 pixels, or let's say 24 pixels. And then margin bottom of 20 pixels like so. And we're going to have the paragraph is already styled well enough. And then I don't want this grid anymore because this is looking horrible. Don't want this grid anymore. So let's say display flex, and then flex direction, set this to column, and then align item center and justify content to the center like so. That is much better. That is much better. And remember, the reason why it moves to the center once again is because the height here is set to a fixed height of 100 viewport heights minus 10 pixels. And then let's add a bit of margin to separate these two divs. So let me say margin of 20 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Like so. That's too much. Let's say 10 pixels. 10 pixels like so. That's much better. Much better. And then let me style each of these buttons. So let me just find out where I have BT and dark right inside here. And then I'm just going to copy all of these styles, okay? And actually, you know what? I'm going to cut this out from here, because these are going to be kind of global styles. And then I'm going to go to the top right below the button, or rather above it, paste this in as BT and dark like so. And look at that. Now that we have set it to a global variable, then now this applies right here, and then this should not change. It should not change. And then let me just copy this down. Let me just copy it here, and then change this to BTN. What was it? What did I call it? BTN orange and BTN green. So BTN orange, and then copy it one more time. Change this to BTN green. Okay, so that we're going to have this for all of them for to begin with. But then this, we're going to change the background color to bright orange, and then this, we're going to change this. Oh, this is already dark green. I might have done a boo-boo. BTN green, BTN dark. I might have done something wrong, because I want the BTN dark button to have the dark background color instead of the dark green. So let me change this to dark, what is it, dark navy blue. Okay, and then change this to BTN green, so that will remain. So that I did something wrong, missing a semicolon. So that now BTN dark should have the dark background color right there, and then BTN green should be lighter, and then the donut button should be much brighter and should be orange. And then let's see, and I've just realized that I've done something wrong once again, and I'm going to explain what I have done wrong in a moment. So okay, you know what, once you have this, these are actually looking okay. So let me explain what I did wrong. Notice how we are targeting the div, all the divs inside here. Now if you look at our support.js file, we have multiple divs. So this is actually targeting all the divs, such that when I add the padding of 20 pixels here, it also applies here, and that's why the buttons are kind of pushed inwards. If I remove it, then look at that, it now moves all the way outwards. So what I'm going to do is remove this and target the support.inner div, and then the what is it, was it the contributing.inner or contribute.inner, contribute.inner, what do I keep saying dot, like so, that it only applies on the actual divs and not on the divs of the buttons. And then once I do that, then let me say let me go back inside here, give this div a class name of buttons like so, and actually do the same inside here, give this a class name of buttons, so that I can target it in my CSS. And right below this, I'm going to say the div, the class of buttons inside here. Then I want to target the button, now the button element, because there's a button elements. And then I want to say margin of 0 on the top and bottom, and you know what, let me say margin of 10 pixels on the top and bottom and 20 pixels all around on the left and right. This is going to be an issue, because technically now it's spacing this out as 20 pixels for this button, and then 20 pixels on the left for this button. So this is now 40 pixels instead of 20. So what I want is just 10 pixels all around. So that we're going to have this just to space them out a bit. And then what I can do is probably inside here I can say something like display flex. Let me remove this. Let me see something. Let me say flex direction. Set this to column. Let me see something. Okay, so that works. And actually, you know what? This actually looks nice on small screens. Why did I think of it? It actually looks pretty nice on small screens. Happy accident. And then let's have a margin of 10 pixels all around to separate them out. Let me say 5 pixels. 5 pixels, not 5. 5 pixels. So that's the BTN. Okay, that's looking fantastic. And then for larger screens, then we're going to change this to flex row, and then we're going to add the margin. Actually, the margin is going to be sustained. So let me add that. So support, and then the buttons. So where was it? Let me add it at around 768 pixels right here after this class. So let's say for the support, then first of all, I want to change the grid, right? Where was it? Where was the support? Right here where I had this as a flex. Okay, so let's just say flex direction. Set this to row, not column, so that now these two white boxes go side to side right around there. And then I'm going to say align items. You know what, instead of doing this, let's just say display grid, and then grid template columns to repeat twice and one fractional each, like so. And then let's set the and remember that this the boxes inside here are only they are aligned according to the content that they take up. I think that is called intrinsic sizing css. And what I can do is go inside here, and I want to target the buttons, right? So I want to go inside the buttons class, change the flex direction to row. Let me see if that will work. And okay, it doesn't work because we are targeting this differently than we are above here. So I need to go inside these two classes, copy these two classes, and then go back to the bottom right here, paste this in, and then grab this and then move it upwards. That's when this will work. Okay, and that is something about CSS. When you're adding different styles to your media queries, if you want to change styles a certain way, like we have just tried to do right here, then you need to target them the same way that you are targeting them above. Otherwise the styles don't work, as we have just proved. And then once you do this, then what you can do is, let's see, probably I don't want such a big height. You know what, I don't want such a big height. This height is too much. Let's say 50 viewport heights. Yeah, 50 viewport heights I think is much more manageable. Okay, you know what, like I said, it's a lot of trial and error. Web development is a lot of trial and error. So 80 viewport heights works fine. And probably we're going to reduce it right here. So let's say for the support, let's set the height here to let's say calculate 50 viewport heights minus 10 pixels. Oops, don't do that. Okay, like so. Let me see. There we go. So that's 50 viewport heights. And then for the support inner and these two classes, actually for these two classes, then I want to go right below this and then just copy this to have a max width on them, like so, which should do this. It doesn't work. I think that would have to go on the support. This will have to go on the support class. Support, like so. And this is not really what I wanted, but then in order to fix this, then I would have to have another div inside here to wrap all of this content, which will just mess with the styling massively, and I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. More like I don't feel like doing it. Okay, so let's add a grid gap on this. Let's add a grid gap. Let's go back to where we have our support right here. Let's add a grid gap of 20 pixels all around. separate them out like so. And then inside the div of buttons here, let's add a margin of let's say 20% on the top, 0 on the left, and right, 0 on the bottom. Okay, move it just to separate it just a bit, separate out just a bit, and I think this looks much better, much better. Probably I could change these stylings out because they don't really look all that appealing. And then let's have our footer next. Let's close these two files and let's go inside our footer. Let's say underscore RAFCE. Okay, and then let's say actually, what do you want to do? I've forgotten how the footer looks. Okay, the footer just looks like this. So we have inside here, let's return a fragment and then a footer HTML5 element, and then let's return a div with a class of logo like so. This is going to have an h2 that says downing, which we're going to style, and then we're going to have a nav element with the ul with two list items like so, each of them being buttons like so. This one says contribute, this one says, what does it say? GitHub repo. And then below this, right, is it below this? Let me just place it inside the same nav. Let's have a div that says a paragraph that says that says created by me, and probably I can place this inside an href. HTTPS, send this to github.com/my profile, set the target here to _blank, and set the rel to no opener and no referrer. So, and then say my name. There we go. Let's see how this looks. And I should render out the footer like so. So footer, and then let's say import footer from /components /footer. And we have this. Okay, looking fantastic. Now let's style our footer. So let's go right before this media query. Let's say for the footer, I want to target the footer element. Remember, we don't have a class on the footer, so the footer element, give this a background color of, let's say, dark. So set the text color to white as well, and then let's target the div. Actually, I can say the div with the class of logo like so, and then let me target the h2. Let me set the text color to white. Let's say font size, set this to about 30 pixels. Let's say letter spacing, set this to 5 pixels, and then let's target the nav element, nav like so. Let's say display flex, and then align item center, and then let's target the ul. And actually not, I'm doing something wrong. Actually, it's correct, sorry about that. So flex direction, set this to column. Okay, and then for the ul, I can say display flex and align item center like so. And then let's save this and let's see what we have for the footer. So we are going to have this for the footer. Now, one thing that I should have done actually is for the initial value, let me just say display flex for everything, and then align item center, and then justify content to the center, and then say flex direction, set this to column, okay, so that it goes stacking on top of each other. And then right inside here, let me say margin, set this to I actually can just say margin bottom, set this to 20 pixels to separate the heading from the text. And then the nav here, I can say once again margin bottom, set this to 20 pixels as well. Is that correct? Actually, that is correct. Sorry about that. So instead, I should move this downwards to separate that from this text. Okay, so let me target the LIs and then the buttons. And actually for this text, I'm just going to go back into the header because it's going to be the same styles as the buttons that we had in the header. So I'm just going to copy this and paste them inside here, and that should be fine. Look at that, looking amazing. And then I can add a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 10 pixels on the left and right to separate them out just a bit like so. And then let's say for media min width right inside here, below the support, which ends here. I'm going to say for the footer, then I want the flex direction to be row, like so. Let's see how this looks. Right there, now it goes into row format. And then I'm going to say for the div with the class of logo, then I want the margin bottom to be 0 first of all, right? And the margin bottom to be 0, and then let's say flex direction row, and then justify content to space between. Okay, so that they go end to end now. Fantastic. Now, instead of saying space between, let's say space evenly. Okay, so that happens. And then what am I missing? I'm missing something. Let me say align items. Let's say, was it start or was it initial? Okay, just move it upwards just a bit. And what else did I add? I added a few more things. The margin bottom here is going to remain. And for this nav, let me see, we have the nav here, and then we have a div with an a tag. So let me deal with this link so that I can style this link a bit better. So inside this nav element, I'm going to go inside this nav element right here, target the div, and then target the a tag, set the color to, what was it, to this. What is the name of that variable? Light gray, and we have not actually used it, by the way. So light gray, like so. Let's say border bottom, let's say 1 pixel, and solid and light gray once again. So we're going to have that. And then on the footer, did I have a padding on the footer? I did not. Let's say padding of 50 pixels all around on the footer. Actually 50 pixels on the top and bottom, and 20 pixels on the left and right. We don't want the footer to move in too much on small screens. So we're going to have this, and then right inside here, let's say for the ampersand for the hover state, let's change the text color to white, and then change the border to 1 pixel, solid and white as well, so that when you hover over it, now it turns to white, and this should be border bottom, like so. Okay, that's looking nice. That's looking nice. And let's see how this looks on large screens. And this is how it looks. That's looking fantastic. Now, one thing that I do want to do actually is, because I want this color to span all the way. Okay, so I think I would have to do this. So let's close the footer. I think I would have to go inside how to use, and then wrap, is it how to use? Not how to use, sorry, not how to use, but inside the support component. So right inside here, then I would have to wrap everything inside here, inside this section. Let me just wrap it inside an article. Let's give this a class name of support-inner, like so, and then paste this inside. Let me see if resets everything. It does. Okay, and then what you can do is find out where we had our support, where we added a max width on the support. Where was it? Right here. Now, instead of having a max width on the support, right, instead of having it on the support, then we can say for the support, and then we want to say for the support-inner. Wait a minute, is that correct? No. Let me say support-container, because support inner is already on this class. Okay, so let's save this, and actually let's see how this looks. Doesn't change the styles as much. So let's say support container, and this is a class, so dot support container, and then move this upwards, so that now the color goes all the way to the end, and that's actually what I wanted. Now, one thing that we need to do actually, therefore, is change the stylings. Where is it? So this should be support-container. Let me see that. Okay, support container. But this white space is, the white space is too much for me. And is this correct? This should be support. Okay, so support container. Okay, and then let's say for the support class dot support, then I want to grab the height here and move it upwards right there. Okay, so that we're going to have this. That is looking much better. much better. Look at that, looking amazing. I think we are ready to deploy this. I know I've not technically done this donate button, this donate kind of diagonal here. I've not yet done it, and the reason why I'm skipping it is because I haven't really set up any kind of donations for this right now, so I don't want to add it yet. But I think that's everything for this. Let me increase the height for this. Let me increase the height to, actually no, I can just comment this out and it use the initial height, and that's too big. Let's say 60 viewport heights. I think the first one was 80 viewport heights. This is much better. This is much better. Okay, now what I want to do is, let me just close this up, close all of this up. Where is it? And then close my server as well, shut it down, and then close this, and close this. And then I'm going to create a GitHub repository. And actually not, I've remembered what I always forget. Let me go back inside here. Let me go back to the top. And then let me grab this, copy this, and then go inside my index.html. Lastly, I can just remove all of this, remove that, and remove that, and then change this theme color to this. Okay, and then remove this comment as well, and then I can add another meta tag. Let me change this title to Downing CSS framework. Let me just call it Downing CSS. Let's change this description to Downing CSS framework, like so. Let me add another meta tag with the name of author, and the content is going to say my name, like so. And then I'm going to add other meta tags in later, but these are the major ones that we need. And then let me go into GitHub, and I don't really have a favicon right now, so let me go into GitHub. Let me see if I have a repository called Downing. I'm not sure. Downing. This is Downing. This is the framework that I'm working on actually. And then let's create a new repository called Downing landing page, like so. I'm going to add the description and everything later. So let me copy this, and then let's begin to add this. So I'm going to say git remote add origin, and then paste this in, and then git branch -m main, change it to the main branch, and then git push -u origin main. And this is just what I do usually to test out whether this link is working, because I've not really added anything from here from what we have done. So let's see that. Let me reload this, and let's see our repository, which is our initial repository from create react app. And then what you can do now is just begin adding the file. So I'm going to say git add public, and git commit, I'm going to say update index.html, and then git add source, and say git commit, let me say components images plus SCSS. Okay, and then let's say git add package, and then I'm going to say git commit, let's say install react icons, react router. What else did you install? Can't remember what we installed. React icons, react router DOM, damn it. And frame of motion. How did I forget about frame of motion and not sass? So let's see. Git add, wait, what do I do? Git add package, git commit, let's say install frame of motion, let's say node sass, and then let's say react icons and react router. And then let's just say git push, which will push this to GitHub, to our newly created repository right there 1 minute ago, looking fantastic. And I've just remembered that I wanted to use frame of motion, and I installed it and I actually forgot about it. So let me show you how we can actually use it. Let's animate our showcase instead. And when I say showcase, I mean kind of like this the text inside, the text and the image, right? So let's go into our showcase, and then I'm going to say that for this article, of course, I need to import motion at the top. So I'm going to say import motion from framer motion, like so. And then I'm going to say motion dot article. That's how you turn it into a frame motion element. And then remember, we're going to be using our initial prop, and initial just means where is it coming from, right? So for the initial, I'm going to say place two brackets like that, so an object, and I'm going to say it's going to be on the x-axis by minus 100 viewport widths, right? Like so. And then I'm going to say animate. So animate says where is it going to, so animate to the x-axis back to the position of 0, meaning to its usual position of 0, like so. And then I can say transition, and I can say delay this by 0.1 seconds, like so. Let me see that. Let's reload this and let's see. Okay, that didn't work, and it didn't work because this is initial has an I. Okay, don't be like me, don't spell it wrongly. And let's see, look at that. So it delays for 0.1 seconds and then it comes in, right? Now let's add a duration here. So let's add a duration here and say let this animation take 1 second. So 1, like so. Let's see how this looks. That's looking nice, isn't it? It's looking nice, looking very, very nice. But let me set this to 0.5. See that? Looking amazing. Okay, and then once we have this, then I want this to also to come in first, and then this, right? So I want them to kind of slide in. So let's go inside this and say motion.article once again, because that's the one that contains the image. Let's say for set the initial to initial to on the x-axis to minus 100 viewport widths, and then let's say animate, and then say animate to x of 0, and then let's say transition, let's say transition equals to delay. Now I want to change this up a bit, so delay is going to be 0.2, then duration is going to be let's say 1. Okay, and then let's change this to delay 0.4. So I want this one, I want the image to come in first and then the text to come in second, so that's the kind of sliding, right? Now let's save that and let's see, look at this. Okay, that's too much. Let's say delay this by 1. Let's see how this looks. Let's see. Look at that. That's looking nice, isn't it? It's looking amazing. Looking amazing. And just like that, you can start using frame of motion, and then you can dive deep into it and start looking at what are the things that you can do. So let me add this newly created commits. Let's say git add all and git commit. Let's say add frame motion animation, and say git push, and this will now push it to GitHub. And then what I want to do is go into Netlify and deploy this right away, so that I can keep on making continuous deployments, and anytime that I make changes, so that it's something that people can work on actually. And if you want to work on it as well, you have my GitHub repository, and you also have the link. So deploy from GitHub, and let's search for Downing. So Downing landing page, and we're deploying to the main branch and npm run build. Okay, so deploy site, and now all we have to do is wait. Okay, so it's finished deploying, and this is our link right here, which I really want to change first of all. So site settings and change site name. Let me say Downing. I hope no one has this. Okay, no one has that. So downing.netlify.app, and look at that, it has our animations as well. It has our animations as well. So that's looking fantastic for our initial kind of website. And remember that the more that I continue to work on this, the more content that I'm going to be uploading on this. And I really hope that this project was interesting to you. Granted that I kind of forgot about frame of motion. Sorry about that once again. And yeah, that will be it for this project. And if you want to contribute to this, then you have my GitHub repository, and we can just start working on it. Hello everyone, I created an HTML and CSS course on Udemy called Learn Modern Web Development from Scratch, where we build a modern hotel website. So if you're interested in learning modern web development using HTML and CSS, then you can head over to udemy.com and search for TsbSankara, or you can click the link in the description and it will take you to this landing page where you can get the course at the price of $19.99, or if you're lucky enough, then you're going to get a discount that Udemy is going to offer you. So thank you guys for watching, and if you like the video, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot, and I will see you in the next video.